They chose the one religion nobody expected. For 300 years, a Jewish empire ruled the crossroads between East and West. Then the Vikings came. This is how an entire civilization vanished. The year is 740. Somewhere between the Caspian and Black Seas, the Khagan of the Khazars faces an impossible choice. To his west, the Byzantine emperor demands Christian conversion. To his south, the Arab caliphate offers Islam or the sword. But the Khagan does something no one anticipates. He summons scholars from all three faiths for a debate. And when the dust settles, he chooses Judaism. The religion with no empire behind it. The faith of a scattered people. Why would the most powerful ruler between Constantinople and China make such a bewildering decision? The answer lies buried beneath the Volga River. And it would take archaeologists 1,000 years to even begin understanding what really happened in those royal chambers. To understand the Khazar gambit, you need to see what they controlled. Picture this. Every silk merchant traveling from China to Europe. Every fur trader moving south from the frozen north. Every slave caravan heading to the markets of Baghdad. They all passed through Khazar territory. The Volga River was the Amazon.com of the medieval world, and the Khazars owned every warehouse. Their capital, Itl, sat at the river's mouth where it emptied into the Caspian Sea. Contemporary accounts describe a city split in two. The western half for Muslims and Christians. The eastern half for Jews and pagans. 7 judges administered law. 2 for each major faith, 1 for pagans. If this is blowing your mind, hit that like button. Because the Khazars invented religious tolerance 800 years before the Enlightenment. But here is where the story takes a darker turn. The conversion was not about faith. It was about survival. Think about it from a different angle. If the Khagan converted to Christianity, he became a vassal of Constantinople. Spiritually subordinate to the Byzantine emperor. Convert to Islam, and suddenly the caliph in Baghdad has religious authority over your realm. But Judaism? No Jewish king existed anywhere on earth. No Jewish empire could claim dominion over another Jewish ruler. The Khagan could adopt monotheism, satisfy his nobles who demanded a sophisticated religion, and maintain complete political independence. It was genius. Cold, calculating political genius. The Khazars did not find God. They found a loophole. And for nearly 3 centuries, it worked perfectly. Until it did not. The first cracks appeared from an unexpected direction. The north. Swedish Vikings, known as the Russ, had discovered the Volga trade route. At first, they came as merchants. Arab chroniclers describe them as tall as palm trees, covered in tattoos, carrying axes even while trading. The Khazars tolerated them. Taxed them. Even hired them as mercenaries. But the Rus were learning. Mapping. Planning. In 965, a Rus prince named Svyatoslav gathered the largest army the steppes had ever seen. His target was not Constantinople or Baghdad. It was Itl, the Jewish capital that controlled his trade routes. What happened next would erase a civilization from memory. And here is the part they never teach in schools. The Byzantines helped him do it. But that is not even the worst part. The Khazars had survived invasions before. They had defeated Arab armies that conquered Persia in months. They had outlasted nomadic hordes that erased other empires overnight. What made 965 different was a perfect storm of catastrophes. The first blow. Svyatoslav's army struck during a plague that had decimated Khazar forces. The second blow. A series of harsh winters had frozen the Caspian, ruining the fishing industry that fed Itl. The third blow. The very tolerance that made Khazaria great now divided it. Muslim subjects refused to fight alongside Jewish rulers against fellow Eastern European peoples. If you want to see how this ends, make sure you are subscribed. Because what Svyatoslav found When he reached ITL would haunt archaeologists for 1,000 years. When the Rus breached the walls of ITL, they found something unexpected. The city was already half empty. The Khazar elite had fled east, taking their Torah scrolls, their gold, and their secrets with them. Svyatoslav's warriors burned what remained. The great libraries. The courts of 7 judges. The synagogues that had stood for 2 centuries. Arab geographers who visited decades later found nothing but ruins and wolves. But here is the mystery that still haunts historians. Where did the Khazars go? Some fled to Crimea, where Jewish communities persisted for centuries. Others scattered into the Caucasus Mountains. Drop your theory in the comments. Did you see this coming? Because the most controversial claim is still ahead. Some historians believe Khazar refugees fundamentally changed the demographics of Eastern Europe. For decades, scholars have debated whether Ashkenazi Jews descend partly from Khazar converts. The theory remains controversial. Genetic studies show mixed results. But here is what we know for certain. The Khazar Empire did exist. It did convert to Judaism. And it did control the crossroads of civilizations for 300 years. The reason we know so little is not because the Khazars were insignificant. It is because they were erased. The Byzantines, who helped destroy them, had every reason to minimize their memory. A Jewish empire that rivaled Constantinople. Better forgotten. The ultimate proof came in 2022 when archaeologists finally located the ruins of ITL. Buried under centuries of Volga sediment. Exactly where the medieval sources said it would be. The Khazars were real. Their achievement was unprecedented. And their fall changed